So
can I also just add, I appreciate the fact that you don't want to make any bullshit promises, but it is a bullshit promise to say that we're going to work collaboratively with Five Eyes. That will never happen. Not all five of us are going to agree to list it at the same time. All you need to do is look at every single one of their terrorist entities, and they're all different.
This week, we were invited as media to cover an important conference organized by Salman Sima, founder and executive director of ICARE, the International Coalition Against Racism Everywhere. You know him? He is an Iranian activist who spent years fighting dictatorship and corruption. His conference, Stand on Guard for Canada and Protect Canada from Foreign Influence, aimed to raise awareness and bring together voices from across the country to discuss how foreign entities are operating here and how that threatens Canada's sovereignty. The event took place at the House of Commons, and right from the start, it said a lot about the state of media freedom in this country. As soon as we arrived, we handed over our IDs, went through security, and they started searching our names in the system. Then came the question, do you have a parliamentary press gallery badge? Of course we don't. That entity refuses to accredit us, like most independent media. At that point, security said we might not be allowed in at all. We explained we had a private invitation from the organizer. After some discussion, they finally let us in, but under strict conditions. We could attend, but not film. If we tried, we'd be kicked out. We were told to just sit and watch. They even assigned a parliamentary protective service officer to escort us. He stayed outside the room the entire time, door open, literally keeping an eye on us for making sure I was not recording with my phone. So when you will see the footage of the conference, it's not ours. It was filmed by participants. Only towards the end, after Salman Sima and a Conservative MP intervened, we were finally allowed to record. And the moment it ended, the officer escorted us straight out of the building. And let's be clear, this treatment was only for us. Others faced no such restrictions. It's obvious. They wanted to control the narrative and keep independent media from showing the other side of the story. On that note, here is my report from inside and outside the House of Commons.
I see many active members of IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, on Canadian soil. We see hatred in Campbell, in U of T, McGill, Concordia, all across Canada. This is not matter of free speech or hate speech. This is a direct result of foreign interference by CCP, Chinese Communist Party, Muslim Brotherhood, IRGC, and in some cases, Khalistani in our universities, in our institutes, in our streets. I'm happy that we had a discussion in front of MP Garnet Genius, MP Sandra Coe.
So it was really important that this time member of parliament from both parties listen to our concern. We are tired of saying that there is no room for hatred in Canada. We are tired of listening from the empty words from the politicians, from all level of government. The anti-Semitism is bad, human rights good. We were here with a very clear demand. Kick IRGC terrorists, Khalistani terrorists out of Canada. designate Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist entity in Canada. And also we have lots of violent groups like Antifa that we see that what happened in Montreal, in Toronto, and the government, RCMP, Toronto Police, Montreal Police, they should take action against this violence group. And we were here in the Parliament on the Cyrus the Great Day. We celebrate the human rights. 2,500 years ago, Cyrus the Great released Jewish people from Babylonian slavery. So we believe that Canadian value should be human rights value.
I worked with some of you, Salman and others, on pushing for the listing of the IRGC as a terrorist entity and combating terrorism, combating foreign interference here in Canada. Again, is a critical agenda item that we've worked on for the last 10 years, and of course there's more work to do. And I look forward to hearing what the further feedback is from people's experiences and their suggestions.
Radical activists, including non-students, often break into classrooms, intimidating and shouting for intifada. 2 non-students were recently arrested on our campus carrying a metal rod and incendiary devices. My friends saw classmates crying and shaking. Is this what Canadian education looks like? Are these our values? Where do these values come from? The Concordia Student Union, CSU in short, has a yearly budget of $4.1 million paid by our tuition and is run by some of the most radical pro-terror students. Recently, they made headlines with their yearly student handbook distributed to 35,000 students, which I have right here, and you can look through it. I can pass it around, teaching students how to strike, block classrooms, and conceal their identities. It celebrates Nakba Day and Cuban Revolution, not a single Canadian holiday or flag, only Palestinian ones.
Because it's talking about, essentially foreign influence in our country, in our amazing country of Canada. And we're talking about the Cuban influence, which I wasn't even aware of, the scale of Cuban influence in Canada. Of course, we were talking about the IRGC influence in Canada, which I see on a daily basis. My friend Anastasia sees on a daily basis because we go to Concordia, which is the most anti-Semitic university, but I wasn't aware the scale of how many other international organizations, foreign organizations that are actively supporting terrorism and other, communist organizations on, say, campuses. Again, I'm campus focused because we're on campus, that's what we're experts in. It was very interesting to hear from people who have different experiences, who've done research in the Hindu community, for example. And again, of course, the Cuban community, the Venezuelan community, the Persian community, the Iranian community, and of course, the Jewish community as a visible Jew.
It is visible on our streets, palpable in our schools, and systemic in our institutions. The glorification of jihadism, including the normalization of Jew hatred and the celebration of chaos, is threatening to irreversibly dismantle Canadian values. We, the Canadian people, are done asking politely for you to do your job, to lead, to protect, and defend this country. This is not about Muslim families who choose to live peacefully in Canada. This is about the existential threat of Islamism and the assault of Islamic extremism that operate together as an anti-humanitarian movement seeking to replace Canadian law and way of life with a rigid, absolutist doctrine fundamentally at odds with Western values and freedoms. Canadians have a right to know why you, the people who swore to protect us, have failed to name and ban all terrorist organizations and their supporters, especially the ones already recognized international as terrorist entities.
We can see it in our streets, we can see it everywhere, and it needs to be stopped. The Muslim Brotherhood, that, as I mentioned before, for the last 40 years at least, has been recognized as a terror organization, even in their own home in Egypt, and then later on in the rest of the Muslim community world.
Well, this is a fight that I think people don't realize, that the West, Canada, and all the West is under attack. And we have to fight to gain back our freedom and to remain a free country with a free society, with being able to talk like we are doing right now. If we continue the way it's going right now, pretty soon this won't be this won't happen anymore. So everybody has to do that. The question is why other people are not why I am.
So the supreme leader of Iran, Ruhollah Khomeini, he went and met Hassan al-Banna as a young man, and he was deeply inspired by his concept of an expansionist government ruled by Islamic law, and so he created the Islamic government that eventually took over Iran. It's mainly a Muslim Brotherhood system with some ideas from Shiism attached to it. But its core comes from the writers of the Muslim Brotherhood, and the teachers and the writers of the Muslim Brotherhood that inspired Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and of course Hamas, which means zeal in Arabic, which is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, and it sounds a lot like the Hebrew word Hamas, which means violence or lawlessness. And so all of these groups that are banned in Canada and on the United Nations to put them on terrorism come from this mother branch, this ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood, Ikhwan al-Muslimin, and there's many different writers and speakers and teachers who keep writing and perfecting it, and they inspire this expansionism of Islam. And as Ali was saying, in Egypt, where they were born, they're banned. They're banned in Saudi Arabia, they're banned in the UAE. In Kuwait, the parliament was just dismissed because they took over.
In all the entity, like the foreign entity, which one you think is the most dangerous one?
They all relate. There is what I call the axle of evil, which is China, Russia, Iran, Qatar. Everything comes back to them through the Muslim Brotherhood, through the IRGC, through Hamas, through all these entities. If you look at, there's a booklet that was introduced during the Holy Land trial in the US, where they show how to infiltrate a country, start with one charity on the top, and then slowly develop and build hundreds of little chapters, and everyone goes and does the same thing. So it doesn't matter how you call them, they're all the same thing. Mm-hmm. They're all here with one intention, to conquer the West.
Can we count on your personal support to list Muslim Brotherhood as an FDO in Canada?
Yeah. So the one thing I'm never going to do is just come here and give you some bullshit answer that, I'm going to wave a magic wand and be able to deliver on all these different things. I'm going to continue to be thoughtful in terms of the positions we take. My personal belief is that we need to work with our Five Eyes partners within our national security apparatus to identify threats to our country and to the Five Eyes more broadly. Everyone knows what Five Eyes is, right? So that's what I promise. And I know the Americans have designated the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, or in the process, they're in the process of doing that. So what I'd like to see us do is to work with our Five Eyes partners to make sure it's done in a coordinated, thoughtful way. And the last thing you need is some politician to come up here running his mouth, promising you all sorts of things and not being able to deliver. I will never do that.
You know where it is banned? It's banned in the birthplace, Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, where people know Islam. But here it is expanding and growing within the parliament. And throughout the system.
I understand how an entity that is so known in the world for so many years, 40 years at least, that has been operating worldwide, terrorism.
Sure.
And as been told here, they've been banned from their own origin and the rest of the Arab world. And just here in the Western world, they're still okay to exist.
I mean, we're honestly curious about that.
Yeah. So.
Can I also just add, I appreciate the fact that you don't want to make any bullshit promises, but it is a bullshit promise to say, we're going to work collaboratively with Five Eyes. That will never happen. Not all five of us are going to agree to list it at the same time. All you need to do is look at every single one of their terrorist entities, and they're all different. We haven't worked collaboratively until now. In my opinion, that's a bullshit promise.
Yeah. So I didn't say necessarily that we would work, that we would do this all at the same time, or like I can't speak for the British intelligence service, I can't speak for the American, I can't speak for that, to that. What I am saying is that we need to work with our partners. Just coming here and making some unilateral declaration isn't going to solve. Just a
we don't need to.
Right.
We have enough information not to work with them.
Right. Excuse me?
We have enough information not to rely on them. We don't need to work with them. We have enough information here in Canada.
Why do we need this?
Do you believe that the Liberal Party can really do something regarding foreign interference? We saw just today, there were a big heated exchange because people wanted him to talk about the Muslim Brotherhood, to list the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, and he couldn't even say it.
So, yes, if we push enough, if we push hard, it will happen. For listing IRGC, since the moment that the motion was passed and finally the IRGC was listed as a foreign terrorist organization, it takes 6 years, okay? It's not just 1 night, 2 nights, 1 month, 2 petition, 2 motion job. We need to push forward, we need to mobilize the community, and yes, it's a challenging part, it's a challenging fight, and I'm ready to challenge.
He's very good at avoiding the question and making other people feel bad for asking it. That's his job. He's very good at it. He's failed the people of Eglinton Lawrence. That's his riding. I live near it. I know a lot of people there. He's failed every single one of them. So I don't know what he's doing, but he really likes to talk and he really likes to look pretty.
And do you believe that the Liberal Party can actually do something regarding foreign interference?
Yes, however, what I believe is that they'll exacerbate it, not solve it.
So do you really believe that the Liberal Party can do something regarding foreign entities with Mark Carney as Prime Minister? Because what we saw recently, it's Mark Carney recognizing Palestine that is still run by Hamas. We saw him saying Muslim values are Canadian values. And we know that he has companies with Brookfield Asset Management who is intrinsically close to the CCP. Do you really believe that they can do something regarding the foreign entities?
I'm not very optimistic, but I think the only way that he will do things is if he sees that the people are starting to revolt and that everybody is coming and asking him to do it. If there is a big enough movement coming across Canada, like I was a few days ago in Canada First rally in Toronto, and they had rallies all over the country. If we have more people participating in all those rallies to bring back Canada, to take back Canada, he will have no choice. Right now, he feels on the top of the world. But it's only temporarily. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Muslim value are Canadian values. That was probably one of the worst quotes that he could ever say. And I really think that that's the furthest apart that anything can be, because Muslim values are, you kill anybody that's not Muslim, that's an infidel, and that's not really Canadian values.
In the West, they realize they can't win by guns. They don't have the nuclear bombs. They don't have the space lasers. So they're going to win by having tons of babies, by putting in very strict communities where there's built around a mosque. They give you interest-free loans as long as you live there and go to that mosque and get indoctrinated, and then your kids will go into parliament and into society at large and influence it. It has 4 pillars. One is to influence the political structure. First and foremost, to influence the foreign policy of nations against the state of Israel. That's the #1 goal. 2, influence the culture by normalizing their brand of Islam. Let's try a hijab, try this. We're good. It's Islamophobic. If you say the Palestinians are not the indigenous people of the land, that's Islamophobia, one of the Muslim Brotherhood agents in the Kenyan government was saying a few days ago. Then the student associations enter the universities.
How the government can do to stop foreign interference, according to you, what they need to do?
So it's a bit difficult and it's a bit too late. I cannot say that too late, say that it's a bit late, because already Muslim Brotherhood, CCP, Chinese Communist Party, IRGC, they infiltrated in our institute. But if there is a will, there is a way. Okay, so how they can do that? They should secure the border. They should ask RCMP to do their job. I'm not gonna ask that, increasing the budget of RCMP or increasing the budget of the incompetent anti-Semite Montreal police and Toronto police. No, if they wanna do something seriously, they can do that. And as a civil society, as a concerned person, as a person who fight for Canada, who fight for freedom, what we can do, we can hold them accountable. After Nazi Germany, we had a civil duty, naming and shaming. If some member of parliament receive a fund from Qatar, you are a journalist, I'm a freedom fighter, we need to hold him or her accountable. If Toronto police or Montreal police are incompetent, we need them hold them accountable. And this is some part of them are government jobs, some of them are civil society job, and some of them are media's job.
I feel like it's a little bit more simple. Everyone likes, especially the politicians who graced us with their presence today in their room. I'm being sarcastic. They were, most of them were disrespectful. Most of them wrote off everything that anybody in the room had to say, and they again have their profession is to obfuscate issues that are happening. And I didn't really realize it until what I saw today to the degree, because nobody wanted to answer any of the questions that we had for them, because it's very simple. Label these groups as terror organizations, sanction them, make sure that there's no foreign influence, do actual research, make sure that CSIS is focused on terrorists, not fellow Canadians trying to do things that they might politically disagree with.
That's a tough one. It should start by just common sense. You know, as one of the persons said there, we're not the only one that see it. We are sure that the politicians see it also, but they need to have the will and the courage to act. And it's not easy to act like this. But obviously they have to first list all these terrorist entities recognize them as terrorist entities. And they have to stop bringing them into the country. Today, I just read not a long time ago that one of the ministers of the Palestinian Authority that was convicted of stolen, I don't know how many millions in the Palestinian Authority, he's now in Toronto, in Canada. How can they allow people like this to come here? That's crazy. We have murderers walking our streets, teaching in our universities, and it's okay. It's not okay. That's why we have to take back the country. We have to fight and not bring them in, deport the ones that are here, and bring back common sense and sanity into the government and into their regular life.
Thanks to the Marxist alliance that came from the Warsaw Pact countries, it has taken over and destroyed those nations. And now it has launched an assault against the West through having babies and infiltrating the culture and remaining in the blind spot of the ignorance of the Western mind concerning religion, to start with, and specifically Islam, and specifically their branch of it. They're hidden, so it's very difficult for us to get ahead of it and bring it out. But we have to make sure that we are like frogs being boiled in water. We are going to be overrun by the Muslim Brotherhood in Canada and their leftist allies just because of the sheer number of babies they're having. The amount of parliamentarians they control and their influence within the university system. If we do not rise as a people and take off the gloves and say, we see you, we understand you, and we will not tolerate this, and unite around a different set of Judeo-Christian values and the values of the Age of Enlightenment from sea to sea, then we will be overrun like so many other countries in the Middle East have been.
Extremists are rampaging across this country. They're exploiting our financial markets, they're exploiting the rule of law. They are successfully dividing the country against each other. They're not just limited, as you have noted, to religious fascists, but they are also international criminal networks working together. We are in a world in which confronting these entities requires iron will, a government clearly determined to ensure that their presence is not in our country, that we work with our allies around the world to confront them, and eventually for the people that so many of you represent from all around the world, that we fulfill the promise of freedom.
We invited several MP from Liberal Party and Conservative Party. Hopefully, Vince Gasparo from Liberal Party showed up, and Vincent Ho, MP Shuv, and Sandra Kobna from Conservative Party, they showed up. Securing Canada and making Canada free from terrorists, it should not be a partisan issue. It should be a national issue, and we are trying hard for that.
One of the entities that was not mentioned during the conference is Antifa. And the US just designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. Here in Canada, we should do the same. And we will put pressure on our government to do so. If you agree, go and sign the petition at stopantifa.com right now.